Welcome! Welcome to our latest Founder Insight, where we're joined by the wonderful founder of In the Loop Drinks. So a quick introduction, I'm Matt from Ethical.
I'm Ryan, you've probably seen me before all over Instagram.
Yeah, and I'm Charlie from Ethical as well.
And I'm Gnina from In the Loop Drinks Limited.
Great. So Gnina, could you tell us a little bit more about In the Loop Drinks?
Okay, In the Loop Drinks was founded almost a year ago, so we just come out to a year birthday, which is great. And it was founded with the idea to take wine from other wineries and rework it into other products, namely a range of vermouth, which is what we're doing now, which launched a few months ago.
Great. So what is vermouth?
Vermouth is technically fortified aromatized wine, which means that it is fortified, so that means that the alcohol content has been increased, and aromatized, so that means flavoured. Legally, the only thing you have to flavour vermouth with is wormwood, which is a herb that is known for its digestive properties, which is why you would normally drink vermouth after dinner to sort of help everything go down. And the wormwood that I use fresh, and I grow it here myself. I'll show you guys later, I should do that.
Cool. And what sparked your sort of idea to start In the Loop Drinks in your venture?
My background originally is in food, so I started in food science, worked in product development for a few years. I've probably developed something that you've probably all actually eaten at one point or another, which is kind of cool. And then as I was doing the food journey, I got more and more interested in wine and sort of moved over to wine. I've spent the last few years working in English wineries and saw the amount of wine that I thought I could use for other things, and that has brought me here.
Okay. So you talk a lot about actually using waste wine, and there's a lot more kind of ethical approach to your kind of bottling process. So could you tell people a bit more about why you're so passionate about kind of trying to do things the right way and more like sustainable?
Okay, I guess my passion just comes from, I don't know, I've always liked green spaces. I'd like them to stay that way, and I've never liked seeing things go to waste. So the wine that I take from other wineries isn't quite good enough to be made into their high quality English sparkling or still wine. It's not that it's bad quality, it's just not quite good enough. And that's where I come in and I take it. And yeah, I think, I guess just looking at where we are now, I love being in nature, and I've got my hens around as well. And it's all about kind of, the circular economy. You know, these guys feed off the land here, they pick the snails and the slugs and whatever. And I'd like them to continue being able to eat in a healthy environment. And I think that responsibility falls down to us all, but actually mostly from the supplier side. So I do strongly believe that as a producer, I should be making the right decisions so that the people that consume my products don't have to think so much about where their stuff's coming from or disposing of it in the right way. Yeah, it's there are many reasons why I've chosen to do what I do.
So, normally we do these over a Zoom call, and it's quite in a basic background of one of our offices. But I'd like to know, or I assume the audience would like to know, why we're in a vineyard. Why are we somewhere different than we normally are? Like, what process does this vineyard add to your drinks?
Okay, we're in a vineyard because I like to take people outside of their comfort zone, and there's nothing quite like baking heat and pecking chickens for that. But I thought it would be nice to make that connection between the product that I make and the very starting ingredients. So here we have some, I don't know if you quite see these, but these are Pinot Noir bunches. They've got about 2 months left to go now before we start even thinking about harvesting them. So they've got a long way to go. They're just at pea size now. So that's the very first ingredient that makes the vermouth. I use only English wine, so I use only, obviously, English grapes, and we're in a very English vineyard. That's the starting ingredient. I then take the wine, and I think, as I've mentioned, I increase the alcohol content to 16%, and I flavour it with fresh botanicals. So things like the wormwood I mentioned earlier, but also other things that I grow or forage for. We're quite close to the Ashdown Forest here, so I pick a lot of gorse flowers from the Ashdown Forest, obviously when it's in flower. So I use that. We've got a big bay leaf bush in the garden, which I can show you guys. Lemon verbena. We've got all sorts of stuff we grow here. So that all goes in to flavour the wine. And as I said, it goes in its fresh form. So there's a higher level of extraction there. So it extracts more flavour and good stuff from the fresh herbs and flowers as well. And then it gets hand bottled, hand labelled, and that all happens here. Obviously not in the vineyard, but on site. So all here.
Yeah, it's amazing. So I'm guessing there's quite a lot of trial and error that goes into kind of mixing your botanicals, obviously with the wine that's formed from the grapes. So how does that process work?
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of trial and error because ultimately I'm trying to merge different ingredients together. So because I'm using fresh stuff, they taste different at different times of the year. So I have to think about that. So at the moment, so my wormwood now, it's in the greenhouse. It loves the weather in the greenhouse, so it's gone quite leggy. So it's quite big, and the flavour there's not going to be as concentrated as it might have been earlier in the year when it was slower growing. So I've got to think about things like that. But then also, because of my wine background, I want to do the best for the base wine. So there's quite a lot of trial and error, making sure that the botanicals that I'm merging with the base wine work together, and that the botanicals are bringing out the best in the base wine.
So I always find it really interesting when you meet the founders of businesses and you realise where the products come from. Because generally nowadays we're so dissociated with where our products come from. We buy them on a shelf, we don't know where they're packaged, we don't know where they're made, we don't know what conditions they're made. So it's really interesting to actually come to somewhere where you get to see where the products come from, where they're made, and it all happens here on site. So for that, for me, it was really interesting to know, and that's the same for a lot of our partners and the way they work, which is it's really cool.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, as a fairly new startup, what would you say that your biggest challenges have been so far?
I guess it's really just finding my feet in the industry. I mean, I'm trying to launch quite a niche product. I mean, some people know what vermouth is, which is great, but a lot of people don't. And it's about actually showing the different ways that you can use it. That's been quite a big challenge. And I guess like a lot of startups, the other thing is the actual running of the business. Like a lot of people, I've come at this with the production knowledge and knowing how to make the product, but I've also got to know how to balance the books and do the financial stuff and all the boring, like sitting down and doing all the spreadsheets. So that's I'd say that was quite challenging.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that we're experiencing now as well. Ethical, having just come out of university, so it's all new to us as well.
Yeah,
definitely a challenge.
Recently it's about invoicing with us, isn't it? It's like, hang on, we got to do invoicing. What's that? What do we?
How does that work?
Yeah, so it's funny, but in terms of obviously what's going on around us, it's lovely here because you have no idea that COVID-19 is actually happening because you feel so detached from the real world. I mean, we are socially distancing, but it's really nice to actually kind of get away from it and to get a bit of fresh air. But I was wondering, in regards to coronavirus, has that affected the way that you've been doing business recently?
It's just the type of marketplaces has shifted. So whereas I'd planned for a lot of markets through the summer, like a lot of people, got all my product made, and I've booked some really cool markets, physical markets. Obviously, they were cancelled. So like a lot of producers, my market has shifted onto a virtual marketplace. And that has been a reflection, obviously, a direct association with COVID-19. But actually, I just think that the way that people's shopping habits are changing, I can't see this going away. So, I mean, it's great to actually have that option of being able to do things online. I don't know where we would be without ordering groceries online or whatever. It's been so helpful for all of us. I think that's,
Yeah, it's really interesting. So, in terms of that, obviously trying to look ahead now. So, what is kind of the future of In the Loop Drinks?
The future for us is, growth, I guess, like every business, really, but not like crazy growth. Not that I don't think we'd be able to do that anyway, but the next stage for us as a relatively new business is actually getting to a point where we can look to expand into a shop facility in Brighton. We are conscious about the use of our ingredients and our packaging. We use recycled outer boxes and biodegradable filler and things like that. But the goal for us is to be able to remove that, really, and have a place where people can actually come and collect their products instead and do it in a zero packaging environment. So they would bring in their bottle or whatever, much like you would, for loose food, pastas and whatever in some shops in Brighton already. and you'd bring in your little bottle and you'd fill up your vermouth or whatever else we happen to be making by then, and you'd take that away. So there's it's keeping everything in the loop, I suppose, and then you can come back in again and use your bottle again. And I guess before we get to that point, because that's obviously in the pipeline, but it's a few years away yet. We would like to move to doing things like 100% recycled glass bottles. We haven't done that yet because they're blue, and I think some people, a lot of people will buy wine based on the colour, and it's really hard to gauge, obviously, with a new product, what colour might be behind the blue. So we haven't got that far yet, but we will. And then eventually, having a nice little shop somewhere would be lovely.
Yeah, sounds like a great master plan, doesn't it?
My
It's about
10-year plan.
changing people's mindsets. It's quite difficult, but you've got it all set what you want to do. It's just about taking those steps slowly but surely.
I think it's not so much about changing people's mindsets as giving them the tools that they need to make those changes.
Yeah.
I think that's really. I think a lot of people want to do good. They just need it to be slightly easier. Yeah.
It's equipping people with the ability to do that, isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is where you guys come in.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think,
Hopefully.
our journey. When did we partnered? Must have been a few weeks ago. Now.
Early July.
Early
Yeah.
July. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's been good. I believe we've already generated 2 sales. I think it is, which is great. Kind of new business coming in from our community. So thank you very much. We do really appreciate it. It does go an awful long way because you are supporting literally the person behind the scene that you often wouldn't see if you were to pick it up from your local supermarket. So it's amazing, and thank you so much for trying something new. And we definitely hope to see you come back purchasing it once again.
For any of our community you are potentially purchasing with in the Loop Drinks again, what sort of drinks can we make with your vermouth?
Loads of things can be made with vermouth. So most popular would be the martini, either gin martini or vodka martini. So that's 50-50, the gin or vodka with vermouth. And we tend to suggest the number 18 Chardonnay vermouth to make a more savoury, sort of dirty martini style. That works really nicely. You can make a Negroni, so that's gin, the vermouth and bitters. And we tend to use our number 3 rosé Pinot Noir vermouth for that because it's got a bit more sweetness, it's a bit fruitier, it works really well. You could just throw some Prosecco or something for another level of flavour. You could make a vermouth and tonic, which on a day like today is very refreshing. Or as we all had earlier, a gin, vermouth and tonic. So nice long drink, very refreshing. Got some local gin in there and some of our summer edition vermouth as well. And we are going to make a Negroni. I'm going to show you how to make a Negroni. So we're actually going to use the summer edition for this one.
Cool.
I'm going to pop this one here because it doesn't get much more summery than today. So that's what we're going to do. So this is our summer edition vermouth, which I think I'll probably sell for another month until summer's sort of officially over.
Yeah.
I can't really sell it until winter. So, we're going to use.
I'm loving the labels. The labels are beautiful.
Yeah, no, they're lovely. And I mean, I have had to explain, although obviously not seriously, but we've used ingredients as the key designs for the labels. So you've got the chamomile, which is on the Chardonnay vermouth because it's got chamomile in it. The number 3 rosé's got a rose on the front because it's got rose petals in it that I actually picked from the roses that grow around the flat. But the summer edition doesn't have butterflies in it. This is just something summery. So no butterflies. Right, and this is the Amaro that we're going to put in the Negroni with the gin and the vermouth. This is really delicious. This is yum. This is like my favourite thing at the moment. So, my little makeshift bar. Got my little nice cold glass.
Ice cold for a day like today.
Cold.
Yeah.
Oh, here come the
Can't say the
chickens.
same for the- oh god.
The chickens think there's food.
They do. Put some ice in there. She's coming. She's coming.
Got a visitor.
So here's a taste test from the chickens.
Right, where's my little... Okay, so we're going to go... It's quite a big glass, so we're going to go double shots. So it's going to be firstly, I'm just going to make sure this is on right. Yeah, double shot of your gin.
This is doing it real style. No fancy bar here. We're doing it.
No.
We're doing it out.
This is all you need, just a cool box, and you don't even need to really measure. I am measuring, but and I'm going to go half on the bitters because it is bitter. It's an Amaro, so it has got quite a lot of bitterness.
Yeah.
And for what I do, I just want the half. That's how I like it. My little garnish there.
Chickens are certainly keen.
Oh God, they've all appeared. Oh, they can hear the yeah. Stick, and then there we are. So there you have a summer edition Negroni. Okay, all
Lovely.
English as well. So English bitters, obviously local gin, and my vermouth. So there we are. You can be the taste tester.
You can try it, Matt.
Just like the chicken for it.
So why do you use the summer edition for the Negroni?
It makes a slightly lighter Negroni. It works quite nicely with that gin as well, which is the Hedgerow gin. I didn't want anything too heavy because obviously it's really hot. I don't know if that's going to come across, but it's really hot. So yeah, it's just to make a slightly lighter Negroni.
Yeah, it's lovely. It's really nice. It's nice to know that it is all local because I think, especially within the wine industry, it's quite rare really to always, especially going down the supermarket itself, you have your South African, you have your Australian, Italian. So to know that it's all done locally, it's really nice and quite refreshing to see, especially in an industry that you'd not really expect it.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I've tried to keep things local, and I found that Amaro that's made in the east of London, so that's
nice.
relatively local.
Yeah.
Yes. I think she's going for your glasses. Just thinking about it.
She's back. Yeah. So obviously we partnered up, I think, as Matt mentioned, probably the start of July now. So what was it that you actually saw in us, considering the fact obviously you're another sustainable business?
Well, that was it really. We're another sustainable business, so we share a lot of similar values, and I just thought that as a small business that's growing, the best thing that I can do is get people behind me who share similar values, because it makes everything so much easier.
Yeah.
And that is, that's what I saw in you guys. There's a similar thing, but just in a different face.
Yeah.
3 different faces.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
It's all about supporting each other. That's really why we started. To support other people. As a group of collectives of small businesses, we work so much better if we work as a big group rather than working on our own with no support. So that resonates with why we chose to actually form.
Yeah, and the way we've kind of actually formed our business model is that we can't grow unless our partners grow. So that's kind of all what really motivates us to keep growing, because we know if as we get bigger that our partners are going to be just have that kind of future in place.
Yeah. So finally, if there is one thing you want the viewers of this video right now, whatever they're doing at home, to do, what would it be?
It would be to just do something a little different. Life is short, so I don't know, just mix up a little bit. Think about what you'd be doing if COVID hadn't happened. Would you be in Greece or Spain or whatever? And if so, would you be sampling from their local cuisine? I know when I go abroad, I find the nearest winery is really what, in a nutshell, what I do. But it's all about kind of, experiencing the things that are local to where you are. Everybody's staying at home this summer, so I would say don't make it boring. Continue to just try new things that might be on your doorstep and you haven't realised that they're there.
A really cool answer, to be fair.
Yeah,
It is. It's
great.
If you're stuck at home and things seem a bit different, just try and it resonates trying to do things a bit differently. Go down to a local place that you've not been to before and just try it out.
Try things new. Try something new.
So as you all know, In the Loop Drinks are one of our ethical retail partners. So whenever you spend with the wonderful In the Loop Drinks, don't forget to send us your receipts, and then we can generate your ethical tokens, which will then help support other local independent ethical retailers. So it's been great chatting to you today, Gnina. Bye.
See you later.